Fill in the blank. You're not getting any younger, so
why don't you extend and enhance your life by working with your dreams? Because they're there to help you create the life you're meant to have.
Hey you! Yes, you! Welcome to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast, a podcast for people who want to disrupt their lives for a good reason, to make it count. I'm your host, Jen Glantz, and every week I'll drop a new episode with stories from real people just like you, who woke up one morning and decided to make big changes, starting with small things. We'll cover topics like entrepreneurship, love, failure, and self-care. Hey, you're not getting any younger, so let's make this an adventure. Ready? Hey, any youngers, welcome back to another episode of the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. I am Jen Glantz, your hostess, with the mostest sweat under my armpits. Is that TMI? I feel like maybe it is, but I've told you before, podcasting is so not glamorous. I have to turn off my air conditioning machine every time I record, or else you'll hear that boom, boom of the sound of it turning on and turning off. And yeah, even though it's like 50 degrees outside, it doesn't mean that when you sit in your closet with the door shut and a blanket over your head to podcast, that it's any cooler inside of there without the air conditioning machine. This weekend, I was back home in Florida, and when I'm home, I usually raid the library. And I had a book that I'd never return because that's so on brand for me. And it was the book, Where the Crawdads Sing. And my mom looked at me and said, "Did you read this?" And I said, "You know what, Mom? I flipped through the first couple pages and I put it down. It was horrible." And she told me, "I can't get enough of this book. It was so good. Give it another shot." So I picked it up, and for some reason, the second time, I connected with it. I loved it. I read the entire book in 4 hours. What am I trying to tell you here? You can't always judge a book by its cover. And sometimes you can't judge it by the first few pages either. But also, sometimes we're not in the mood to give in to reading or give in to conversations or just give in to learning something new. So if there's something that interests you and you've tried it and you've let it go, maybe giving it a second chance on a different day in a different environment in a different mood will make you get through it a whole lot easy. Something I'm really proud of this week is that I have not had pizza the entire week so far. Why? I don't know. I like to play these challenges with myself where I see how far I can get without something or with something. And I love pizza, you know that about me, but why I'm trying not to have it this whole week is because last week I had it 4 nights in a row. And I feel like I should be eating something a little bit more nutritious, so I'm giving up pizza until Saturday night. Something I've been working super hard on is Finally the Bride. That's the project I talked to you about last week, where strangers can come on and vote on every single major wedding decision I have, and I will live it out and write about the experience. And right now I'm in the process of pitching the idea of a book to publishers, which brought me back into a couple of years ago when I was pitching Always a Bridesmaid for Hire as a book and facing tons of rejection. I'm going to face tons of rejections this time. Maybe all publishers will reject me, but either way, I've already made the promise to you, to everyone in the world, that this book will be written and released. And I've already written 4 chapters of it. So if every publisher in the world denies me, cool, I'll publish it myself. You know what's been happening to me lately? I've been having these really vivid dreams. Dreams where sometimes I predict something that happens in the future. Dreams where I see somebody in the dream and then a couple of days later they enter my life. Or dreams where I'm acting in a really weird way that I would never act out loud in person. All of this got me to think about the power of our dreams. Do they mean anything, or are they just something that happens when we close our eyes and go to sleep? I was searching for cool, different guests that I think would benefit you on the show. And that's when I came across this week's guest, who is really unlike anyone else we've ever had on the show, and really unlike anyone else I've ever spoken to before. This week's episode features Lauri Lowenberg. She's the dream expert. She's a certified dream analyst. One of the first things she says to you on the podcast is, I'm not a psychic. Everything she says is backed up by research, backed up by true understanding. I have to tell you, talking to her was a mind-blowing experience. I really asked her all of the questions that I could think of and all of the questions that you, the listeners, recommended. And even in our short conversation, I finally was able to understand why so many crazy things happen to us in our dreams. We talk about nightmares, we talk about the purpose of little details in your dreams, and we talk about how to remember your dreams, because there's no worse feeling than waking up thinking, oh my God, I had a crazy dream, but you can't recall a single detail of it. I hope you enjoy the episode, and as you know, come hang out with us in the Secret You're Not Getting Any Younger Facebook group. We'll be discussing dreams all week long. Can't wait to hear yours. Can't wait to hear how we can analyze yours after we learn from Lauri. And as always, as you're listening to this episode, scroll down, rate it, give it a review. If you love the episode so much, screenshot listening to it and post it on Instagram. Tag me at Jen Glantz, tag any younger, spread the word. This is one of the most important episodes I've ever recorded, and I think it'll be a game changer for so many of you. And also, please, I beg you, come say hello. I answer all my emails, jenglantz@gmail.com. And if you want a less formal friendship, we can just DM back and forth on Instagram and like each other's photos. I am totally into that. On Instagram, I'm at Jen Glantz, and this podcast is at Any Younger. Enjoy.
I'm a professional dream analyst, which means I help you understand how your dream is connected to your waking life, how every image in your dream pertains to the different parts of your life, and how the message you're giving yourself through the dream is helping you to improve your life.
You must be the most fascinating person to bump into at a party. I mean, I would be so thrilled to be stuck in a corner talking to you.
I am fun at parties, and just wait till I get my third vodka.
Oh, then the real dream analysis, I'm sure, comes out. I think a lot of people listening to this episode are going to want to know, how did you get into this role?
Well, long story short, always been a very vivid dreamer, and I could remember my dreams ever since I was like 2 and 3 years old. And so I would write down and draw my dreams when I woke up because I hated to leave that world, you know. But it really wasn't until I was 19 and my grandfather died, and he was the first person close to me that ever died. So it was a traumatic thing. And I went into a pretty deep depression. And about 2 weeks after his death, I had this dream where we were walking through a museum arm in arm, and I knew had died. And so I was asking him what it was like where he's at. And he said, well, I can't tell you that, but what I can tell you is that it's secure. And then he hugged me and he walked up these stairs, and then I woke up and I swear I could smell his Old Spice. And it really felt like he was there. You know, it felt different than a dream. It felt way more real. And it had such an emotional impact on me that I decided I really need to find out what's going on when we dream. Why do we do this? What is it for? What can we do with it? You know, what is the purpose? So I studied dream psychology. So this isn't a psychic gift or anything. This is based in science. And I was so impressed with how not only practical our dreams are, but how unbelievably powerful they are when you can understand them and apply the messages your dreams are giving you to your life. It's like truly the most powerful part of who we are is our own dreaming mind.
It's so fascinating because we don't think about it. We go to sleep, some of us dream, sometimes we don't, but we don't actually think that there is such power behind it. And, you know, the dream you shared, it gave me chills, and I'm sure so many people listening have had a dream about a loved one they lost. And very recently, I had a dream about somebody who I lost. And can you go into what those kinds of dreams are telling us? I mean, they're usually so vivid, like you said, you wake up smelling and feeling. So what is our mind trying to tell us?
Okay, so for the caveat is that every time you dream of someone who has passed on does not necessarily mean that it's them. Most of the time, they're going to symbolize something else. But there are those dreams we get, and it's usually pretty soon after the person has passed, where you're aware they have died and they are visiting. And these dreams feel different than other dreams, and they usually come with some sort of message along the lines of, I am still here. Everything is as it should be. Everything is okay.
Oh,
And those are the ones I believe are their spirit coming through to us while we're in the REM stage of sleep, um, where they're letting us know, hey, I still exist.
wow. I mean, there is just so much power in that message. And I've talked to so many people who have had a dream like that a day or a week right after they've lost a loved one. So it's interesting to hear you speak about that. And I have a question. Sometimes I don't know if this happens to everyone else, but sometimes you dream about a person that you haven't thought about in a while and then they show up in your life. Is there anything behind that? Like, it's so crazy. Sometimes I'll be thinking about a person randomly and they show up in my dream, or they show up in my dream and then all of a sudden I get a phone call from them 3 days later.
Yes. So that it's a fairly common, I don't know if I want to call it a phenomenon, but a fairly common occurrence where something like that happens. And it's hard to say if it's just a coincidence or not. But one of my favorite sayings I saw on a church sign when I was a little girl that I've never forgotten was that coincidences are God's way of choosing to be anonymous.
I love
So,
that.
that being said, you know what? Maybe the universe or God or whatever is, you know, giving you a heads up that you're about to be in touch with this person again for some reason.
Oh yeah, I believe in that so much. Like, I truly believe if someone's in your dream and they reach out, or you run into them, you're meant to talk to them. Like, the universe is so telling you something there.
Yeah, agreed.
I think another big question that a lot of our listeners had was on the topic of recurring dreams. We all have them. Mine is me on a highway about to spill off of it. What is the significance behind recurring dreams? We have a listener named Jordan who asked, is it because something needs to be resolved and that's when they're going to stop? Or do your recurring dreams just present themselves throughout your life for a different reason?
Okay, so very good question. And yeah, we do all get recurring dreams. Some of us get recurring dreams way more than others, and also recurring themes within the dream, recurring symbols or whatever that keep showing up. So, anyway, there's two main reasons you're going to get a recurring dream. One is that the recurring dream is connected to an ongoing issue. So, for as long as the issue continues, so will the dream that is connected to it. And then when the issue is finally corrected or resolved, the dream doesn't come back because it doesn't have a reason to keep nagging us. The other reason that we get recurring dreams is because they are connected to a recurring behavior pattern. Whenever we exhibit that behavior, we get the dream connected to it. These recurring dreams are usually lifelong dreams because we have this lifelong recurring behavior pattern. A common one um, that I think almost everybody gets is the teeth falling out dream. And that one's such a common recurring dream because it's connected to the common recurring behavior pattern of saying things before we think about it. Saying things we wish we could put back in our mouth, like our teeth are supposed to be.
That's so crazy. I definitely had a teeth one like that, so that is very relevant to me. Let me ask you, are our dreams random? Like, I'm so interested in knowing, when we close our eyes and we go to sleep, how are dreams just suddenly triggered?
So dreams are not random. They seem random because they don't seem to make sense. And a lot of the things and the people that show up in our dreams seem to make no sense. So we just attribute it to being random. But the truth of the matter is that there's absolutely nothing random about your dream, and there's absolutely nothing random within your dream. Every single element of your dream, down to the color of the shirt you're wearing, down to the color of the car you're driving, down to what someone says in the dream, everything is put there for a reason and is carefully pieced together by your very wise subconscious mind in order to give you important message about you right now.
So, do you recommend that when we open our eyes and we still remember those dreams, we journal about them, we talk to people about them? What's the best step for people to wake up every morning and try to analyze what happened to them when they were asleep?
Right. So the first thing you want to do when you wake up is not move. You want to stay in the same position you woke up in because that's the position you were in when you were dreaming. So if you roll over or jump out of bed, as soon as you wake up, you're going to basically unplug yourself from the dream you were just in. So when you wake up, give yourself like 3 to 5 minutes of quiet, still time. Stay in the exact position you woke up in. Let that dream come back to you, then write it down. Because if you don't write it down, or at the very least, record it into your phone, because if you don't do that, then almost all of it's going to be gone by the time you're done with breakfast. Dreams are very slippery, so you have to capture them right away. Then you want to compare your dream to what happened yesterday because it will be connected to something that happened yesterday. So I always tell people the best way to figure out your dreams is keep a dream journal in tandem with a day journal. And you want to write your day. At the end of your day, write down your day, your thoughts, what was on your mind the most, what affected you the most, your outstanding emotion, conversations you had. Write all that down on your left side of your journal, then go to sleep. When you wake up, write down your dream or dreams on the right side of your journal. So then you have your day and your dream right next to each other so you can more easily connect the dots and see how they are connected to each other.
Ooh, that's fascinating. I'm going to do that tonight because today is the kind of day where I have a lot of different moods and energies. So I'm going to spend,
Ah, good.
yeah, I can only imagine what's going to pop up in my dreams tonight.
You'll probably have very interesting dreams. The more difficult or challenging or active our dreams are, the more interesting and challenging are our dreams. So
Oh, for
you should have some
sure.
good midnight movies tonight.
I know. Well, one of the questions everyone was asking about, which I'm sure you get a lot, is nightmares. The nightmares that we have and the ones where we feel hopeless. Sam, one of our listeners, asked, she's interested in nightmares. If being chased means one thing or being locked in a room means another, what is the significance behind those types of dreams where we feel like we've lost control and something bad is happening to us?
Okay, so I've actually got a whole chapter on nightmares in my book, Dream on It. And it deserves a whole chapter because nightmares are, in fact, the most important dreams of all. Nightmares are caused by difficult, unresolved, or ignored issues or mishandled issues. They're usually caused by the most difficult things in our day or the most difficult things in our life. Okay, so she asked about, is there a different meaning to being locked up as opposed to, what was it, being chased?
Yeah, being chased versus locked up.
Okay. Yeah, everything in your dream has meaning. I can't stress that enough. And so when you're being chased, that is a common nightmare, and that's usually connected to something in your real life, something difficult you're avoiding. Some kind of issue you are trying to get away from. Maybe there's a confrontation you need to have, but rather than doing that, you're avoiding it. So these sort of dreams and nightmares are trying to show you that you can't run or avoid this issue. It's really got to be taken care of. And when you change that behavior, when you go ahead and correct and face and deal with whatever the issue is at hand, the nightmare will stop. The other one you said being locked up. This
Yeah.
would most likely be connected to feeling stuck in some area of your life. Are you in a relationship, a job, or something that is going nowhere? Or are you currently dealing with a very difficult situation you don't know how to get out of? Where are you feeling a complete lack of freedom? If that's what that dream is showing you. One of the ways our dreams work is that they show us our current situation, our current issues in a metaphor, in the form of being locked up, in the form of running away from something, so we can get a better understanding of what's really going on and how we're really behaving in regards to it.
I personally feel like, in addition to going to a therapist, people need to work with you. Like, I really feel like my personal life would change immensely from working with you just so that you could help me understand all of these metaphors. I mean, do you work with a lot of people one on one to be able to
Yes.
explain? Yeah, so tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so I've actually trained mental health practitioners to incorporate dream work into their practice because, and they have told me once they've applied what I've taught them to their clients, that dream work actually gets to the meat of the issue way faster than therapy alone. They say that working with a client's dream will get them to the issue, whereas without using the dream work, it would take like 10 sessions.
Oh, it totally makes sense. I mean, I'm just thinking, I'm seeing my therapist later and I want to tell her all about these dreams, but I'm not sure she's even going to take them seriously. Like, I need Lori in the room to be like, no, Jen, this is what's really going on with you, you
Yeah,
know?
and that's upsetting to hear because I have run across a lot of mental health practitioners that do not give any credence or respect to our dreams. I'm like, how can you not? There's nothing more honest about a person than what they dream. That is our brutally honest, naked, raw self speaking to us when we dream. You want to get to an issue, you got to look at that person's dreams. Nothing will tell you more about someone than what they dream.
Tell us a little bit more about your book, Dream On, and what the readers can get from it, because I think it could be such a great resource for people who are new into this world and understanding their dreams.
Yes, so it's called Dream on It, like sleep on it. Let me sleep on it. Dream on it, unlock your dreams, change your life. And what it does, it's broken into chapters where each chapter covers a category of dreaming, and that category of dreaming is connected to a specific part of the person. For example, the animal chapter dream is all about all the different kinds of animals we dream about, and animals and dreams are connected to our behaviors. The people chapter. So it covers all the different kinds of people we dream, a doctor, a police, an old classmate, your mom, your dad, your coworker, all the different types of people that tend to show up in our dreams. And that people and dreams are connected to the different parts of our personality. There's a body part chapter, and all the different body parts we dream about actually represent our different abilities in waking life. So it's broken up like that. And then the last chapter is the 10 rules to remember. So you can easily go to that and go over the rules and apply them to a dream you're working on. And there's also a dream dictionary in the back. So it's a really, really handy book to keep.
I love it. Another great resource is your blog. And the latest article I was reading was something I always question, which is about why we can't open our eyes in a dream. Can you share a little
Yeah.
bit about that feeling with us?
Yes. Okay. So we were just talking about body parts in our dreams, representing the different abilities you have. So your eyes represent your ability to focus on something, as well as your ability to see or understand, perceive something. So, when I explain something to you, you might go, "Oh, I see." So that's what your eyes will symbolize. If you have that dream, and I've gotten this quite a few times, it's fairly common, where you can't open your eyes or it's really, really blurry, that's because there's something going on in real life that either you are turning a blind eye towards because you don't want to see the truth, or you're having a very difficult time focusing on some sort of task or goal in real life.
Wow. Mind completely blown. Lori, this is probably one of my favorite interviews ever. I've learned so much from you.
Yay!
Do you remember your most recent dream?
Yes.
I'm just wondering what you would possibly dream about. I mean, is there a detail about it you can share with us?
Uh, yeah, so it's actually pretty interesting. I dreamt that I was back in my house I live in Florida. In my dream, I was back in my house in Nashville, and my parents were coming to visit. And so I was trying to clean up the house for their stay. But there were piles all over the house and these were all intermingled within the various piles of wires, Hot Wheels cars, and laundry all over the house.
Oh my God.
Okay, so that seems weird and random, but here's what it's about. The dream took place in my house in Nashville. So it's not about the house, it's about who I was and what my life was like in Nashville. That's when my son was born, when we lived in Nashville. And my parents were coming to visit in the dream. So my parents aren't playing themselves, they represent my role as a parent. Okay, so all the piles I had to clean up, they were all intertangled, so they represent something that's kind of dirtying up my psyche that I have to sort through. So what the piles are made of are also important. Remember, nothing in a dream is random. So it's made up of wires, laundry, and Hot Wheels cars. So the Hot Wheels cars I know represent my son because he used to collect them when he was little. The wires, I'm still working that one out. I think it has to do with communication. And the laundry was clean, actually. It wasn't dirty laundry because I remember picking up different pieces of the laundry and smelling it to see if I had to put it in the washer or not. They were all clean. So that represents something that normally would be considered dirty laundry, rumors, bad news, that sort of thing we refer to as dirty laundry. But it wasn't dirty, so it wasn't such bad news. Okay, so here's what triggered the dream. My son is 19, and my husband and I recently found out because he told us that he drinks beer. Now, I assumed he did. He's almost 20, he hangs out with his friend who's in college, I assumed it. But when
Right.
I got the confirmation, it was like, oh, my baby. So I revisited in my subconscious, that house he grew up in, the house he was born into, his childhood. But the clean laundry was telling me it's okay. This is normal. He doesn't have a problem. It's just growing up.
Wow. I just even watching you and listening to you break this down reminds me the path we all need to go through for our dreams. So thank you for sharing that. But what a crazy story. I mean, how did you feel after you worked to put this all together?
Well, I went, well, yeah, this all makes sense. And, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. I mean, what 19-year-old kid doesn't have a beer when he hangs out with his friends?
Right.
Most of them do.
And admits it to you too.
Yeah, because he's a really good kid. He's already got his career going, and it's all good.
Oh, well, you're a great mother too, I'm sure. So
Oh, thanks.
that shows and reflects on him. Lauri, before I let you go, one final question. We end all of our interviews with this question. I'm going to ask you to fill in the blank. Are you ready?
Okay.
Fill in the blank. You're not getting any younger, so
Why don't you extend and enhance your life by working with your dreams? Because they're there to help you create the life you're meant to have.
oh, wow, I love it, Lauri. You are amazing. Please tell our listeners where they can find out more about you and your book and your coaching and every cool thing you do.
Okay, so my book is Dream On It, Unlock Your Dreams, Change Your Life. It is available everywhere. And you can work with me one-on-one. I'll call you up when you schedule it, and we'll chat just like this and get to the bottom of your dream. And I leave no stone unturned. I like to figure out every single part of your dream so you fully understand it and get that powerful made for you message so you can enhance your life. I'm at laurilowenberg.com. Lauri Lowenberg is hard to spell, so it might be easier if you just Google Dream Expert. I'm like the first or second one that pops up.
Oh, yeah, and we will link to your website, your book, your coaching, everything in our show notes. Lauri, thank you so much again. You've been so informational and wonderful, and we appreciate it so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, and sweet dreams.
Hey, you. Thank you for listening to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. There are hundreds of thousands of pods out there, so thank you for listening to this one. You can find the show notes for this week's episode up on our website, anyyounger.com. Subscribe, rate, and review the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast on iTunes so that other ears around the world can listen too. Oh, and join our secret You're Not Getting Any Younger Facebook group, where over 1,000 people are talking about how to disrupt their lives, for a good reason, to make it count. Until next week, all my love, Jen Glantz.